One, two, one, two, three, four.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe Dagger of Business 901. I'd like to welcome you to the presentation today on the cascading effects of lean in your marketing. It's just not about how effective and efficient you can make marketing by applying lean to it. It's also how effective and efficient you can make the rest of the organization when lean is part of your marketing. But when we relate this to sales and marketing, when we relate this to the process, we take that 7 steps, we look at it, and at the beginning it's one-to-one selling most of the time. Then we go one-to-many, where a sales guy is calling on different departments. Then it's interdependent, where the sales guy is facilitating our people with their people. Our people become familiar with their people, all right? We become integrated, and it fits right alongside the hierarchy of the 7-step hierarchy of Toyota. As you can see, the integration, the Kaizen learning, the joint improvement. I think there's issues there, because when you look at the Maslow thing, does that really, that personal esteem, is that climbing, that self-actualization? Does a sales guy feel more important when he's in team selling versus a solo selling? So I think we got some issues to deal with there. I would say the one-to-one probably isn't so much happening in this Toyota hierarchy structure, but I think that you can see here that how it progresses up and the interdependent integrated makes sense with that hierarchy, okay, more plainly here in this diagram. But what I want to really take a look at and for you to think about for a second, what do you think is going to happen in the future? If everything becomes distributed, what we see here is that more and more the one-to-many and parts of the interdependent type, that solo selling falls off. That becomes what I may say automated. And that 80-90% of our time will be spent in integrated selling. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because all of us tend to overestimate the impact of technology today in the short term. But we underestimate it in the long term. We don't prepare for it well at all. Think about future trend lines. Johan said that you need to take that and look 10 years out for it to make sense. There's too much noise in the present. I think he makes a lot of sense there. But when we look at this, of what's happening, you can get a future trend line in any industry, in any company, for any company, or any industry. And I think you should put that out there. But also look at the past trend line. Because what happens there is that you can see how your company reacted to trends, how far ahead of the curve they were, how far behind the curve they were, what's happening in the present, what trends are you a step behind? Because more than likely, you can see in the future where you'll stand. Will you be able to close the gap and be at current with the trends 10 years from now? Or will you be slightly behind? And there's no wrong or right thing here. It's ability to be able to understand. Because remember, when we think of that chaos, when we think of that vision that we need to supply, we need to have some clarity about it. And that clarity goes by going out further and building scenarios to get there. And what we bring, what sales and marketing bring to the rest of the organization, is the ability to explore. And explore at Gemba, at your customer's point of use. And I think that is the most important part. Thank you.